Welcome to Inside Games, the only game news show brave enough to report on leaked Battlefield footage like we said would happen.
Yeah, right away, man, 1 second out of the gate. But fair warning to you guys, we're not brave enough to actually show that footage. We want you to actually be able to watch this after all. Otherwise, we'd be dealing with takedowns and claims, but you can probably find it yourself if you're intrepid enough to check the description of this video.
Oh, our bravery does not end there, though. We've got some exceedingly rare news for you in this week's Roundup. Multiple recent and high-profile game releases, some AAA, have actually done very well.
Oh, yes, good times to hear again. So that means we finally get a roundup with no news of layoffs, right?
No.
Oh.
Sony laid even more folks off this week. The games industry is a spicy, just horrible bitch.
Yeah, that kitten's got claws for decades. We've got a little bit of everything on this week's Inside Games Roundup. Let's kick this episode off by throwing to the one man who's been in the game so long, he's starting to have some trouble with leaks himself. Brian Garr.
Very common among gamers my age. Old enough to have played the Intellivision, also old enough that it takes an extra minute to pee. Yeah. All right, let's kick things off. We got some spicy leaked Battlefield 6 footage to talk about, not show, as Lawrence said. Early gameplay from a playtest. It's gotten out online, and we got our first glimpse of the game. So this footage was shared by Twitch user Anto Merguez, showing elements of the game's UI and post-match results. Then we saw a second clip, gave us a little deeper look at the game's flow and more of the overall gameplay.
The footage is from an early build and seemed to indicate more of a blend of Battlefield 4 and 5, maybe a little Bad Company sprinkled in there too. It's got a little bit a more tactical approach within the city compared to like the chaotic giant feel of 2042.
Yeah, less squirrel dudes zipping around in the sky. Not as many grapple hooks this time around as well. Yeah, as we reported a while ago, this all comes from EA's new Battlefield Labs program, which allows a select group of players to test early builds of the game to provide feedback. Of course, it immediately leaked. I think they knew that would happen too. But how about that destruction though? I know that was... We kind of figured that would be the banner feature, and when that rocket hits the side of a building and it just all kind of shuffles off, ooh, you imagine being in that building when everything's falling down around you? That's Battlefield, baby. I'm excited.
It's super cool. Very scary to be in that building, Lawrence. Every time, 10 times out of 10. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
All right, let's move on to some good news for EA. How often do you hear that? So the newly released Split Fiction is already really impressing critics. It's got a 91 on Metacritic. So far, it is 2025's, I believe it's the highest, if not one of the highest rated games.
Oh, who saw that coming? Yeah. EA doing a surprising solid with this one. Eurogamer wrote, quote, "Fantastic from start to finish. Split Fiction is one of the most inventive and joyful co-op games to date, and a testament to the power of human imagination."
Wow. Jeez. Variety called it, quote, "Hazelight Studios at its best, pushing the limits of genre and co-op gameplay in an imaginative adventure through two wildly different worlds."
Yeah, and like we said, it's a big win for EA, whose last 90-plus score was Mass Effect 3, way back in 2012. Yeah, it's also good after Dragon Age The Veilguard kind of underwhelmed. So yeah, they got a definite, at least a critical hit here.
And here's some background in case you're wondering what Split Fiction is. This game was made by Hazelight Studios, which has a reputation for very creative co-op games. This game, Split Fiction, mixes genres in really interesting ways. It's just got a little bit of everything. It really is a buffet of video games. You got dragon flying, monkey dance-offs, cyberpunk puzzles. It's got slide puzzles. Love those. You might remember that the studio's previous co-op game, It Takes Two, won Game of the Year award in 2021. And man, they've just improved their craft since then. And yeah, EA did us all a favor. It's got a friend pass system, so if you own it, you can play with a buddy for free. Very un-EA, but I'm glad to see it's bringing them some success.
Yeah, this is a great game. Lawrence and I just were playing it yesterday all day, and it's just so much fun and so joyful. Joyful is the right word.
Yeah, very Astrobot. It's like co-op Astrobot. Speaking of awesome, we got another game that's fun to play with, folks. Monster Hunter is setting some records for Capcom.
Yeah, despite some issues with its PC performance, Monster Hunter Wilds definitely looking like a hit. Capcom says that the game, which released a couple weeks ago, has set a new company record, surpassing 8 million units sold within just 3 days. That makes it the fastest selling title in Capcom's whole illustrious history.
That's crazy. By comparison, Monster Hunter World sold 5 million in that same window, and Monster Hunter Rise sold 4 million.
And just some idea of where this might end up, since it's already a record-setting release. Rise would go on to sell 13 million units as of January, and Monster Hunter World has sold 23 million units, so very, very successful franchise.
Critics like it too. It's got an impressive 90 so far on Metacritic. But like we said, there have been complaints about the game's performance on PC. Digital Foundry and some other outlets really knocked it.
Yeah, still there are signs that the game is slowly recovering from that rough launch, with user reviews now sitting at 60% positive on Steam rather than mixed. And Capcom has been working hard on updates. A new one's coming out next week. It's supposed to fix a progress blocker, as well as some crashes and weird monster behavior. Still, though, it's got a ways to go. It does for PC performance. And boy, oh boy, those menus, guys. Those menus are... I've seen a lot of articles written about those menus now that we've gone through them, and they are a nightmare.
They're not getting any better. What's kind of weird to me is that the Monster Hunter likes have not done well at all, like Wild Hearts or Dauntless. People just need it to be called Monster Hunter to play that game, I guess.
If I'm going to spend 2,000 hours on a game, it better be branded Monster Hunter. All right, moving on. Rockstar Games has acquired the Sydney-based development studio Video Games Deluxe, which will now be known as Rockstar Australia.
Here's a quote. After working together closely over many years, we are excited to have Video Games Deluxe join the team as Rockstar Australia. Rockstar Aussie, they call it. Said Jennifer Colby, Rockstar Games head of publishing.
Oi, oi, oi. All right, the two companies have collaborated on years for notable projects, including LA Noire, the VR case files, and specifically, it was very specific to point this out, recent updates to Grand Theft Auto: The Trilogy Definitive Edition.
Not the game itself, but the updates.
Video Games Deluxe founder Brendan McNamara expressed his enthusiasm over being acquired, stating, "We are thrilled to be part of Rockstar Games and to continue our efforts to make the best games possible."
It's kind of Kiwi, Australia. Yeah, not too bad, Brian.
6 in one hand, half a dozen.
Not too. The acquisition solidifies a long-standing relationship that began with McNamara's former studio team Bondi, which made the critically acclaimed LA Noire in 2011.
Yeah, that was their only game, but it was a good one.
We need more weird games like that. I loved it. Speaking of weird games and surprise hits, Avowed is apparently doing really well. This is from Obsidian Entertainment. Their new fantasy RPG Avowed might be quietly turning into a major success story. This is based on some dark data, some mysterious calculations. That's according to estimates from data group Mind Game Data. Apparently, according to those estimates, the game could reach around 5.9 million players across Xbox and PC within the first month.
Yeah, that estimate combines game sales and Game Pass subscribers, with Mind Game analyzing search volume and streaming hours and video content engagement, Steam concurrents, and Game Pass subscriber counts to gauge its popularity and come up with that magic number. They're like the Nate Silver of video games.
So while not officially confirmed, the data projection suggests Avowed could outperform titles like Indiana Jones and The Great Circle, which would be a nice accomplishment if it were true.
Yeah, if it were true. The game has a respectable 80 on Metacritic. The Structoids reviewer called it, quote, one of the best RPGs I've played in 2025.
I mean, it is only March.
I love the idea of a model that can just kind of scour the internet and estimate mind share and come up with sales data. I mean, people have been doing it for a long time, estimating sentiment and stuff like that, but I love a way of trying to reverse engineer what Game Pass numbers actually end up being.
We're like 9 weeks into the year. Man, this is one of the best. They aren't gonna make any better than this. All right, moving on. More PlayStation layoffs, sadly. This time it's PlayStation's visual arts studio in San Diego was hit with fresh layoffs this week as Sony continues to restructure its U.S. development operations. While some of the cuts were tied to recently canceled projects, like a live service game at Bend Studio, sources told Kotaku that the layoffs went beyond just those teams.
Former PSVA project manager Abby Lamaster wrote on LinkedIn, quote, "It was tough waking up to messages that many friends and former coworkers from PSVA were laid off this morning. The layoffs today hit hard. PSVA let go of developers with decades of subject matter expertise, talent that will be extraordinarily difficult to recoup."
This is a common lament with layoffs, is that there's just institutional knowledge that just gets thrown to the wind when this happens. Sucks. The Visual Arts Group has provided internal art and technical support for first-party PlayStation studios, collaborating closely with Naughty Dog on The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 remasters. The cuts come on the heels of an expensive bomb with last year's Concord, as well as a broader reshuffling of leadership at Sony.
Yeah, and as the cost of game development soar, it looks like Sony is definitely trying to rein in its expenses, particularly in its American studios. PlayStation Studios boss Herman Hulse previously hinted at cost pressures and suggested a shift towards outsourcing and co-development to manage budgets. And we haven't heard yet from Sony on these recent layoffs.
Here's what they're going to say. I'll give you the exact statement. The exact statement is, we decided that we needed to restructure and reorganize for a better, more successful Sony. And the translation is, they're saving money. That's what they're doing with people.
The phrase, we made the difficult decision.
Right, yeah, sure, sure. One fucking dude was like, well, just cut a whole fucking department.
As they light a cigar with another 100. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, exactly.
All right, let's do a 5-second review. This is Balatro, which I know has been around, but I was waiting for my daughter to finish her dance practice, and I was playing it on my phone, and Balatro is awesome on the phone. And also, for the first time in my life, I had to put on readers to be able to play the game. So, another indignity of aging. Yeah.
There, Lawrence is doing an impression of Brian Garr at his daughter's dance recital.
Daddy, it's time to go.
No, I can't. I just got the good Joker.
I'm on the big blind, babe.
Let's move on to the upcoming games for this week. First up, Rise of the Ronin. Embark on an epic journey across war-torn 19th century Japan in this open-world action RPG from Team Ninja, where players take on the role of a Ronin, forging their own destiny. The game features multiple possible endings, allowing players to choose which faction to support, such as the anti-shogunate faction, pro-shogunate faction, or Western forces, which significantly alters the story's outcome. It comes to PC on March 10th.
Next, we have Wonder Stop. I keep trying to remember the name of this one because it's got a really intriguing premise. All right, Wonder Stop. This game is a narrative-centric, cozy game about change and tea. Playing as the fallen fighter named Alta, you'll manage a tea shop within a magical forest and tend to the customers who pass through. But Alta doesn't want to be here, and if she gets her way, the tea shop will be nothing but a brief and painful memory. But perhaps Alta will learn something about chilling out and enjoying life as it comes. Wonder Stop comes to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X on March 11th.
Alta also playing this game on a second screen while she watches Netflix or something. Next up, Out of the Park Baseball 26. If it happens in real baseball, it happens in Out of the Park baseball. It develop and discover new talent, draft the next superstar, negotiate with free agents, enter trade talks with other teams, build your dynasty, and guide a franchise into an infinite future. As a manager, dive into the more hands-on management and set your team's lineups, pitching staffs, in-game strategy, and call the shots from the dugout. It comes to PC March 14th.
And finally, we have WWE 2K25. Brings you an unparalleled lineup of current superstars, legends, and Hall of Famers. The 300-plus stacked roster spans multiple generations and features Seth freaking Rollins, Undertaker, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Jade Cargill, and a much, much more. It comes to every single platform March 14th.
And even though it's pretty early in the year, Bruce, we have some patrons that support the show. And I think these might be the best patrons of the year right now. I'm ready to call it. Kyle Heaton, Brian Cosner, Monkey Butlers, and Baku Bomb, thank you very much for your POTY support.
I think that means patron of the year. I think that's what Lawrence is, patron.
Sure does. You're my poties, boy.
And actually, since it's been a few seconds since Lawrence mentioned he saw the best patrons of the year, now I have the best patrons of the year because we're a few seconds further into the year. That's Evan S. Compton, Tito 007, Brown Sugar, and Nick Calderon. Now you are officially one of the best, not the best, but one of the best of 2025 POTY.